Hello, good morning everyone. Welcome to Mathematics 5, Quarter 2, Week number 10. So for this quarter, Week number 10, our learning competency is at the end of the lesson, you should be able to recognize when two quantities are in a direct proportion or in an inverse proportion. And we're going to solve the problem involving direct or inverse proportion. So let's proceed to lesson number 19. We're going to recognize when two quantities are in a direct proportion or inverse proportion. Let's define first a direct proportion. Let's compare direct and indirect or inverse proportion. When we say a direct proportion, as one quantity increases, the other quantity also increases at the same rate or vice versa. So the sample are speed and space area or the volume. So the first quantity increases, the second quantity is also increases. This will be a direct proportion. And also, if the first quantity is decreases, the second quantity also decreases. In contrast with the inverse proportion, inverse meaning to say the first quantity is increases, the second quantity is decreases, or the first quantity is decreases, the second quantity is increases. Example are job, finish, or food consumption. So these are the samples of problem that related to direct proportion and inverse proportion. These are the clue words. So job finish, they can finish the job uh, earlier or finish the job quickly, or food consumption, consume the food lasts for 2 months instead of 6 months. Now let's proceed to example number 1. So this should be an example of a direct proportion. Why is this example is a direct proportion? Because the first quantity, this would be the first quantity, increases, 2 becomes 4, and the second quantity, 3 becomes 6, also increases. This would be a directly proportional. So let's check if this two ratio is a proportion. So let's multiply the means and also the extremes. 3 multiplied by 4, the answer is 12. And then 2 multiplied by 6, the answer is 12. So this two ratio is a proportion and also a directly proportional. Next, let's proceed to example number 2. This would be the two ratio. Again, this is a directly proportional or direct proportional. Direct proportion because the first quantity decreases, 10 becomes 8, and then the second quantity also decreases, 5 becomes 4. So the two ratio is a direct proportion. Now let's check if the two ratio is a proportion. Multiply the means and the extremes. 5 multiplied by 8, the answer is 40. 10 multiplied by 4, the answer is 40. So 40 is equal to 40. So therefore, 10 is to 5 is equal to 8 is to 4 is a proportion and also a direct proportion. Then, let's proceed to example number 3. Example number 3 is 5 is to 10 is equal to 25 is to 2. This example is a indirect proportion. Why? Because let's see, 5 is to 25 is increases. 5 becomes 25 and 10 becomes 2. So this would be decreases. So inversely proportional or indirectly proportional, the first quantity increases, the second quantity is decreases. So this example is a indirect proportional. To check if the two ratio is proportion, let's multiply 10 by 5, the answer is 50. And then 25 multiplied by 2, the answer is 50. This would be the process on how to check if the two ratio is a proportion in inverse proportion. Okay, let's try another example. Example number 4. Should be example number 4. So 4 is to 2 is equal to 1 is to 8. Again, this would be an indirect proportion or inverse proportion. So inverse proportion, let's check. 4 is to 1. So this would be decreasing. And then 2 becomes 8. It, it is increasing. So the two quantity, the first quantity is decreasing, the second quantity is increasing. So this would be in indirect proportion or inverse. So let's check if the two ratio are proportion. So 4 multiplied by 2, the answer is 8. And 1 multiplied by 8, the answer is 8. So the two ratio are equal. So this would be a proportion and also an indirect proportion. So let's proceed to example number 5. This time it involves a problem. Let's identify if it's a inverse or directly proportion or direct proportion. Let's read. If 12 pence are bought for 85 pesos, how much will you pay for 24 pence at the same rate? So, this would be a direct proportion. Why? Because the first quantity increases, the second quantity also increases. So, this would be an example of direct proportion. Next, example number 6. If 4 farmers can plant rice in the field in 3 days, how long will 6 farmers do it? So this problem is a inverse proportion because it involves a job, because it can easily do the job if 4 farmers added by 2. So it inversely proportional. Next, example number 7. Lino walked at the same rate of 6 meters in 5 seconds. How about how long will it take him to 2 kilometers? So this example is a directly proportional. Next, example number 8. A contractor has enough money to pay 10 workers for 15 days. If he adds 5 workers, for how many days can he pay them at the same rate? Again, it involves a job or a workers. It is an inverse proportion or indirect proportion. Next, example 9. Example number 9. 4 pipes can fill a tank in 7 minutes. How long will it take to fill the tank with 7 pipes? So this problem is an inverse proportion because it involves a pipe can fill a tank. We can compare a pipe to a worker. Okay, so this would be an inverse proportion. And for example number 10, for last example, if 50% can consume a certain amount of food in 2 months, in how many months can 30% consume the same amount? So this would be involve a consumption. If the problem involves a consumption, it is an inverse proportion because 50 is to 2, then 30 is to unknown. Now, it is increasing to decreasing. So, inversely proportional. Now, it's your turn, grade 5 pupils. The direction is you're going to determine if the problem is direct or inverse proportion. So, for number 1, Chris earned 5,000 pesos in 20 days. How much will he earn in 30 days? Number 2, if 6 men can paint a wall in 64 hours, find the number of men required to paint the wall in 48 hours. And number 3, at the price of 3 guavas for 12 pesos and 60 centavos, how many guavas can he bought for 37 pesos and 80 centavos? You have 1 minute, grade 5 pupils. Your timer starts now. You have 15 seconds, grade 5 pupils. 10 seconds. 5, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Now, let's reveal the answer. For number 1, the answer is a direct proportion. Very good, grade 5 pupils. For number 2, 6 men can paint a wall in 64 hours. It involves a job can paint. Now, it is an inverse proportion. And then for number 3, at the price of 3 guavas for 12 pesos and 60 centavos, how many guavas can bought for 37 pesos and 80 centavos? This would be a directly proportional or direct proportion. Good job, grade 5 pupils. You already know how to identify if the problem is a direct or inverse proportion. Now, let's proceed to lesson number 20. Now, this time, we're going to solve the problem that involves a direct or inverse proportion. Let's solve this problem. The problem is a direct proportion. To solve for direct proportion, this would be the process. The problem is 12 pens are bought for 85 pesos. How much will you pay for 24 pens at the same rate? This would be the table to make the ratio of the two quantities. So the number of pens and the price. So the first quantity is 12 pence. This would be the 12 pence. And the price of the 12 pence is 85 pesos. And then, how much will you pay if for 24 pence? So this would be the pence also, and the price is unknown. Now, let's solve for the price of the unknown. This would be the shortcut way. No need to write the ratio of the two quantity. You just multiply 85 multiplied by 24. So 85 multiplied by 24. This would be for direct proportion. 4 times 5, the answer is 20. 8 times 4, the answer 4 times 8 is 32 plus 2 is 34. And then 2 times 5, the answer is 10. Regroup 1. Then 2 times 8, the answer is 16 plus 1 is 17. So the answer is 0, 4, 10, group 1. So 2040. This would be the product of 85 and 24. Now let's divide 2040 by the remaining digit. The remaining digit is, what would be the remaining digit? The remaining digit is 24. This would be the remaining digit. So let's divide it by 24. So let's divide this one. 2040 divided by 12. 20 divided by 12 is 1. 1 times 12, the answer is 12. Subtract the answer 20 minus 12, the answer is 18. 8. Bring down 4. So 84 divided by 12, the answer would be, so how many 12 in 84? So let's try. Uh, 12 multiplied by, let's try uh, 6. So 6 times, not 6, we have 6 is 12. 6 times 72. So 72 plus 12, the answer is 84. So how many 12? We have 6 plus 1, 7. So 7 times 12, the answer is 84. Subtract 0, then bring down 0. The 0 divided by 12 is 0. The 7, 0 times 12, the answer is 0, 0. So the answer would be 170. So n is equal to 170. So this would be the price of the pens for 24 pieces. So to check our answer if correct, so let's multiply the means. So 12 is to 85 is equal to 24 is to 170. So multiply the means. This would be 170, and then 12 multiplied by 170. Oops. This would be, rather, this would be 2040. So 12 multiplied by 170. Let's multiply. So 0, 14, regroup 1, 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. Then 1 times 0 is 0, 1 times 7 is 7, 1 times 1 is 1. Then add 4, regroup 1, 2. So it's the same value. So 2040, 2040. So the answer 100 n is equal to 170 is correct. Okay, let's proceed to example number 2. Example number 2 again is a direct proportion. So to solve for the direct proportion, again cross multiply and then divide. So the problem is Chris earned 5,000 pesos in 20 days. How much will he earn in 30 days? So this would be the earnings, 5,000. Number of days is 20. 5,000 or 20. So This would be 5. This would be 5,000 is to 20 equal to number of earnings, and is to number of days is 30. So this would be the proportion. Now, let's find the number or the value of n. This would be uh, the earnings of 30 days. So just multiply means and extremes, but try to use the shortcut way. You're going to cross multiply 50 multiplied by 30, 5,000 multiplied by 30, 5,000 multiplied by 30. So the shortcut way is count the number of zero. If you multiply zeros, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, then multiply the whole number 3 times 5. Answer is 15. So this would be the answer. So we have 150,000. Then divide this one by the remaining digit 20. So let's divide. So 150,000 divided by 20. So less 0. So to make it short, we have 15,000 divided by 2. So this would be the shortcut way. So 15 divided by 2, the answer would be what? 7. 7 times 2, the answer is 14. Subtract 1. Then bring down 0. 10 divided by 2, the answer is 5. 5 times 2, the answer is 10. 0. Bring down 0. 0 divided by 2, the answer is 0. 0 times 2, the answer is 0. Then bring down another 0. 0 divided by 2, 0. 0 times 2, the answer is 0. So the answer, so n is equal to 7,500 pesos. So this would be the earnings for 30 days. So to check our answer, so we're going to multiply the means and extremes. If they are proportion, the answer is correct. So this would be the ratio. 5,000 is to 20 is equal to n. N is 7,500 is to 30. So multiply the means. The means is this one. So this would be the means. So 720 multiplied by 7,500. So let's multiply 7,500 multiplied by 20. So again, count the number of 0, 1, 2, 3. Then 75, 2 times 5, the answer is 10. Regroup 1, 2 times 5, 2 times 7, the answer is 14 plus 1 is 15. So this would be the answer, 150,000. This would be for the means. And for the extremes is, we have 5,000 times 30. The answer is also 150,000. So 150,000 is equal to 150,000. Therefore, the answer 7,500 is correct because the 2 ratio is proportion. Okay, so let's proceed to example number 3. Example number 3 is very easy. If you already know how to identify if the problem is inverse proportion. If the problem is inverse proportion, again, there is a clue. So farmers can plant rice. This would be a job. So four farmers can plant rice in 3 days. How long it will six farmers do it? So this would be the shortcut way. You're going to what? This would be very easy. You're going to multiply 4 times 3. This would be 4 multiplied by the second quantity. 4 times 3, the answer would be what? The answer would be 4 times 3, the answer is 12. And then the remaining digit is what? The remaining digit is 6. So divided by 6. 12 divided by 6, the answer is 2. 2 times 6, the answer is 12. Track 0. So the value of n is equal to 2. Again, you're going to multiply the 2 digit 4 times 3, that's 2 consecutive digit, and then divide this one to the remaining digit. So 4 times 3, the answer is 12, then divided by 6, the answer is 2. Now, to check our answer if correct, so how do we check? This would be the ratio now. 4 is to 3 is equal to 6 is to the value of n is 2. Now, again, to check if the 2 ratio is a proportion, you're going to multiply the ratio. 4 times 3, the answer is 12. 6 times 2, the answer is 12. 12 is equal to 12. The answer n is equal to 2 is correct. Now, for example number 4, you're going to find the value of n. This would be the problem. If 50% can consume is in inverse proportion a certain amount of food in 3 months. In how many months can 30% can consume the same amount of food? Now, let's multiply. So you're going to multiply 50 multiplied by 3. 50 multiplied by 3, the product would be 150. So 150, you're going to divide this one by the remaining digit of 30. So 30. 50 divided by, so you're going to 150 divided by 30, cancel out 0. So we have 15. To simplify our given, 15 divided by 3, the answer is 5. 5 times 3, the answer is 15. Subtract 0. So the answer, n is equal to 5. This would be the answer. To check our answer, write the given ratio. So 50 is to 3. And equal to 30 is equal to n. But the answer for n is 5. Now, let's check if the 2 ratio is a proportion. So, 50 multiplied by 3, the answer is 150. Then, 30 multiplied by 5, the answer also is 150. 150 is equal to 150. So, therefore, n is equal to 5 is correct. Now, it's your turn, grade 5 pupils. So direction is you're going to solve the following. For number 1, 6 men can paint a wall in 64 hours. Find the number of men required to paint the wall in 48 hours. And then for number 2, a store has bag for at 3 for 450 pesos. At this rate, what will 6 bags cost? You have 1 minute to solve this one. Grade 5 pupils. Your timer starts now. You're going to solve, not to determine, grade 5 pupils. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Now, let's reveal the answer. So for number 1, 6 men can paint a wall in 64 hours. Find the number of men required to paint the wall in 48 hours. So you're going to, this would be a inverse proportion for number 1. We're going to multiply 6 times 64, then divided by 48. The answer is 8 men's. And for number 2, a store has a bag for 3 for 450. At this rate, what will 6 bags cost? So the answer would be 900 pesos. So very good, grade 5 pupils. You already know how to do solve problem involving direct or inverse proportion. So that's all for today. Thank you and God bless.